All right, today we're talking about LinkedIn. And in this video, we're going to give you some tips and tricks to make sure your LinkedIn profile is prime time ready and not cringeworthy. So, my name's Rob. I am a HR professional for about 27 years. I've worked in some awesome companies, and I want to help you navigate your career and navigate that corporate labyrinth. Whatever we want to call it. So today we're talking about LinkedIn, and stick around because there's some cringeworthy moments about some things you don't want to do that others have done on LinkedIn. And if you find yourself in that category, hopefully you can take some tips away from here today and get your LinkedIn ready to go. So first one is, let's talk about your profile picture, right? So I've got a picture on the screen right now of some, I would call these don'ts. So if you look at all of these, they're selfies, they're super far, some are too blurry, some are action shots, some are taken right from the bar, some even, probably belong on OnlyFans, just my 2 cents. Your wedding photo is probably not the best idea for LinkedIn. And then unless you're in the fitness industry, probably this guy on the lower right-hand corner, that picture's not for you. Now, high five on his abs. Let's just call it what it is, right? But is that the right picture for LinkedIn? And it could be, depending on what he is going for from a career standpoint, but we don't know. But then let's also look at some other don'ts, right? So we think about the oldie, right? This is one of my favorites because my friends in the real estate industry, we talk about this openly, where, you see an agent, they've got their photo on their business card. It's circa 1992. It might be a glamour shot. Bonus points if you get that reference. But then you meet them in person and you're like, what has happened? The years have not been kind. So the moral of the story here is, get an up-to-date photo. It doesn't have to be a professional photo. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but get an up-to-date photo. It's super important, especially for your LinkedIn profile. The next category here is that weekender, right? What impression are you trying to give a prospective or even your current employer, right? This is your digital business card, right? So you need to look like you take yourself seriously. I think I am all for having fun and even having fun at work. But again, what does this one, a pool picture, drinking some cocktails, is that the right look you're going for on LinkedIn? The answer from me is no. But again, you do you. These are just some tips. So then I think we can all agree that the shadow on here, probably just creepy. I'm not going to click on your profile. I might to ridicule you, but probably not going to be hiring you. So that's just a no from me. Number 4, The Bachelor. Odd that there's a woman in this picture, but might be better for your Tinder profile or eHarmony or something like that. This does not scream professional. Again, think about the industry you're in, right? And what tone you're trying to set, what message you're trying to send. Maybe in some industries, this would be an appropriate picture. I'd say no. This looks more, again, like you're looking for a date, not a job. Frowning, you'll hear me say a bunch of times here, right? Smile, show off your personality. If you don't like your smile, when you're having somebody take your pictures, take multiple pictures so you can get comfortable. But smiling is super important. All right. This next one is super pet peeve of mine. If you pardon the pun, but it's pets. I love my animals. They sleep with us. They're everything to us. They don't belong in my LinkedIn profile. And stay tuned because I will give you a glimpse into my profile, and we'll talk about that at the end as well. So, but pets do not belong in there. I would extend that to kids too. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Craig, the other day, or it's been a few weeks, but we were talking about talent planning, and he was doing some succession planning with his clients at his organization. And, it's this grid of people's profile pictures. And some you see with guns, some you see with, the pets, the kids. Probably not the best look. So think about that. There's a time and a place for these pictures. These pictures, in my humble opinion, are better served on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram. I don't think that LinkedIn is the best place for it. But again, you do you. The next one's the selfie, right? Especially when it's an obvious selfie. This guy's got his arm extended out, right? Again, putting you in your best light for getting a job. And then lastly, not having a profile picture at all is like the worst, because I think I saw a stat not too long ago that, if you have a photo, you're 11% more likely to get clicked on, right? So even if you don't like how you look in pictures, I'm sure after some little effort, you can find a picture that represents who you are and put it on LinkedIn. I think it's super important. And again, it's the message you're putting out there about who you are. So then if we go on to just some tips and tricks, right? So you're like, Rob, I don't have a great one. I don't want to spend a couple $100s on a professional photo shoot. Okay, that's fair. And you don't have to. I did that when I transitioned into a career in real estate. I was like, oh, I have to have professional photos. So I went, did all the things, and they were okay. I think out of 100, I maybe liked 2. But you can also stand up against a wall, get in a nice outfit, do your hair, makeup. I'll live vicariously on the hair through you. But get yourself photo ready and have a friend of yours, your iPhone or Android. I don't understand Androids, but your phone is a powerful camera, and you can take some really good photos with that camera. And then, leverage a tool like Canva. I'm a big fan of Canva. It's free. Go in there, type in LinkedIn profile picture, and hundreds of options will be at your disposal. Pick the one you like, pick the one that represents you, and upload your photo, drop it in there, delete the background, and a few quick clicks, and you're off and running. You can even relight yourself. You can take away some years or maybe minutes on by taking out some crow's feet or whatever it is. Get rid of those dark circles. Anything that is bothering you, Canva probably has a fix for it. So go in there, spend a little time. Once you're happy with it, download, export, whatever, and you're good to go. It doesn't take that long. And then that also extends to your banner pick on LinkedIn, right? So it's that big banner behind you. Don't leave it blank. This is precious real estate to communicate to the outside world who you are and what kind of professional you are, what kind of industry you're in, those types of things. Again, Canva has so many options, and they're already formatted for LinkedIn's specifics around what can be uploaded in that space. Go in there. Again, we're showing it here. Type what you're looking for, and then just, maybe it's, it doesn't have to even say your name. Some people do, they put their name there again, but if you're trying to communicate a message, maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a cityscape, whatever, just think outside the box. And you can also have it complement your profile picture. So you can get in and out of Canva within, let's call it an hour at best or at worst, right? And have something that is showroom ready for you to upload to LinkedIn. But really put some thought into it, because those little details will make the difference to whoever's looking at your profile, whether it be a hiring manager or a recruiter or what have you. It makes all the difference. So let's move on. One more note on pictures before I leave. Please, again, smile. It makes all the difference. So we talked about LinkedIn banners. Again, super easy to do a quick search. But now let's talk a little bit about your headline, right? So you've got that real estate there in I think it's 120 characters for you to fill out what your headline is. A lot of people will, and we're going to look at a profile here in a minute, but a lot of people will put their current job title. Okay, that tells me something, but is that really what you're trying to communicate? So really reflect and put some thought into, what am I trying to communicate, to an outside somebody looking at this profile for the first time. So think about keywords you want to put there. Think about the job title you have. Does that translate to the outside world? Let me use Starbucks as an example. So at Starbucks, people, human resources is actually called partner resources. And some people know that outside the organization, some people don't. It's also abbreviated as PRO, Partner Resources Organization. So I've seen LinkedIn profiles where it'll say pro manager, pro director, whatever it is, or vice president pro, Northeast region, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't tell me anything. And actually, that may, if I see that in your headline and I don't know what pro means, I may be just swiping left or right or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm skipping you because in that microsecond that I've looked at you and say I'm looking for human resources professionals, I don't know that, so I'm thinking you're not what I'm looking for. So put some thought into your headline, and it doesn't have to be open to work, right? If you've already got that on your profile picture, put in there what you're looking for or what adjectives describe you as a professional, maybe the industry you're in. Really put some thought into that. Again, my favorite new tool is ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI you use can help give you some inspiration. Type in there, I need a headline for my LinkedIn. This is what kind of work I do. This is my experience. Give me 20 options. It will do that instantly. Cut, paste, you're done. But put some thought into it because it could mean the difference between somebody clicking on your profile and somebody passing you by for the next person. And in this job market right now, with all the layoffs going on and a little bit of turmoil, that could mean the difference of you getting called for an interview and not. So put some thought into it. It will pay dividends down the road. So let's look at some examples. So we have Tanya here. I don't know Tanya. I found this on the internet, but it was a perfect graphic. So her picture is fine, but it would probably use a little bit of a brush up, right? Throwing it into Canva, adjusting the light, maybe even taking a different one and putting some emphasis on it would be of help here. Now, I don't get the background. She's in global product management, product claims management. I don't know what that is, but it sure doesn't say graffiti to me. So again, there's a mismatch here. There's a disconnect. This could actually cause somebody to move right by Tanya and not even give her the time of day, even though she might be the ideal candidate that person is looking for, right? It's confusing. I don't have time to unpack all this, so I'm moving on. So Tanya, I would say redo your profile pic, redo that banner, right? Now on a plus side, let me go back. So she's put her VP Global Product Management. Maybe that would be a better headline for her because that's a role she is seeking to, right? So think about that headline and what kind of information you want there for somebody to see at first glance. So then we get down to the About Me section. And this is, again, where your AI can come and help you. LinkedIn may even have built-in AI, but I prefer Gemini personally, where you can type in, hey, I need a LinkedIn profile About Me section. Here's the character limit. Write me a couple paragraphs, and here's a little bit about me. So you put your experience in there, you put what you're looking for, all of that. It will write it for you in seconds. I personally like to use that as a launch platform, right? So then I've got that as kind of a baseline, as a foundation. Then I kind of go in and I tweak it a little bit to make it more about me. Do whatever works for you, whatever you're happy with. But again, put some time and some thought into the About Me section. Again, you want people to keep scrolling, right? And say, oh, I like what this says. I want to know what they've done, what experience they've had, right? Which then does lead us into that experience section. And what I would say here, and I've made this mistake in the past, is really just kind of carbon copying my job description for whatever role I'm posting on LinkedIn, right? So it's responsible for this, accountable for that, led this, whatever it is, right? That gets a little boring. What's going to jump off the page to people, or the screen, I should say, is results, data, numbers. Those types of things are going to jump off, right? So it, in this case, is generated 300 million in value. That just jumps off the screen. Grew unit revenue more than 10%. Again, jumps off the screen. I'm on track to deliver 1 billion in customer value by 2020. Obviously, this is an old profile, but still, those are the types of things that are jumping off the screen at me and make me, if I'm a hiring manager or a recruiter, want to know more. It actually may also inform, if you do get called in for an interview, it may inform some of those interview questions. Hey, you generated $380 million in value. Tell me more about that. How did you do that in this market, or whatever it is, right? Those conversations like that are so much better than the canned, hey, tell me a time when questions, right? So if you can also, uh, you know, invite the recruiter to ask you some questions about this type of stuff, that's gold, right? And you can effortlessly answer those questions. Now, pro tip, don't lie. Don't inflate the numbers just to make yourself look good. Be honest, because you don't want to get in a situation where somebody is asking you a question about this and you got nothing. I actually did that once when I forget what company I was interviewing with, but I was working at Frito-Lay at the time, and they were like, what was your the revenue or whatever from these brands you were working on? And I said, $1 billion. I think I pulled that out of the air, and I was woefully wrong. And they knew it, and I didn't get the job. So don't lie. Don't make it up on the fly. You've got to back up these things. But again, data, numbers, results are the headline here, and that's what you should pepper throughout your experience section of your LinkedIn profile. So let's move on a little bit. But go back and put all that stuff in there for each of your roles. It's just really super important. Your education, highlight that as important. Put your degree down. If you've got, I went through college, I got a BS in aerospace studies. Nobody knows what that means, but I also had 3 different minors. I listed all of those at one point. I think I have them off now because they're kind of irrelevant to what I'm doing. But list out those minors. Brag about yourself. If you were top of your class or whatever, maybe there was a cool project you worked on in college. If you haven't been to college, don't lie about it. But if you're in college, put working toward degree, or however you want to phrase it. But again, what message are you trying to put out there to a prospective employer or a hiring manager? Just be thoughtful about that. But don't be afraid to brag. So if you've heard 2 things from me that I'm going to emphasize: smile in your picture, make sure they're not blurry, and don't be afraid to brag. LinkedIn is the perfect place to brag about yourself. And also don't lie. And then think about too, this kind of goes in the bragging part, right? Think about what skills you bring to the table. And maybe you come up empty. You're like, well, I'm good at Excel. Okay. I'm bored already when I'm reading that. But what else are you good at? And you might have to start asking other people that you've worked with, some people that will tell you the truth of what you're good at. Ask them that. Maybe you're good at negotiation. Maybe you're good at public speaking. That's a rich section in the skill section to put tons of stuff that tells the viewer more about who you are as both a person and a professional. So think about that, seek other inputs, and fill that section up. That's important real estate. Recommendations. I think they're super important. I would argue they may be more important than a cover letter, right? So ask for recommendations, maybe from a former supervisor, maybe from a colleague. I think peer-to-peer recommendations sometimes are almost even better than a supervisor recommendation, but ask for them and then also give them. Don't give with the intent of hopefully prompting them to give you one back. Give just out of the spirit of giving. If somebody, say you're scrolling along, is like, oh, I worked with Sebastian a few years ago, and oh my gosh, that was one of my favorite people. Go write them a recommendation. That could make his day. That could make the difference. Somebody scrolling and say, wow, somebody just left a recommendation. I want to call Sebastian. I want to know more about him. So think about that. Those are super important ways to interact on LinkedIn. So how are you going to keep things fresh and engage with that, especially if you're in the job market? What I would say is this: go in and do the typical social media stuff, right? Like, comment, maybe share an article, those types of things. Be careful, though, about what you're posting. So I would say, as a pro tip, keep it specific to the industry you're in or the industry you want to be in. Keep it professional. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between Facebook or X or what have you and LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you're looking for a job, or you're trying to paint a picture of who you are as a professional. So let's just dive into some I'm going to say this is cringe. You be the judge. Let me know in the comments. But some of these posts are cringe worthy. And thank you, Reddit and the subreddit LinkedIn Lunatics for providing some of these snapshots that we're going to look through because it saved a little bit of time of me mining LinkedIn looking for something cringeworthy. So let's talk about Amber. So Amber is in some sort of family law. I did not click on her profile. I don't want to after seeing this because, first of all, it's political. She is complaining about President Zelensky from Ukraine, but she's also sharing false information. And, you know, that Zelensky wants Americans to send their sons and daughters to fight for Ukraine, and their dead bodies will be, you know, the blood will be on his hands and all that. So it's, and, you know, she's just done with this. Okay. What does this tell you about Amber? Right. And let me know in the comments what you think. I think this is cringeworthy of itself. But then wait for it. She doubles down. She gets called out and busted right in the next screen, which I'm showing you right now. And she's now complaining. Somebody fact checked her and said, this is not true, blah, 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 blah. And then she complains about being bullied. So a couple of things here. A, karma came quick, right? And B, again, this reinforces why this shouldn't be on LinkedIn. But then the other thing here is don't have an argument with somebody on social media, especially LinkedIn, about this type of stuff. There's no good will come from this. You may get, you know, satisfaction for, you know, saying this person calling out Amber and saying, look, you're posting false information. You're an idiot. This isn't the place for it. The biggest waste of time, in my humble opinion, besides doom scrolling, which I do plenty of, is arguing with somebody, especially a total stranger, on social media. LinkedIn is absolutely not the place because other people will see this. This is, you're going to see when I show you my LinkedIn, it's going to show you what I've posted, what I've commented on, those types of things. And that stays with you, right? And it gets shown to people that are outside of your network that, oh, look, Amber, you know, comment on this. What did she have to say? Oh, wow. Okay. I don't want anything to do with her. And by the way, Amber says she's open to work on her profile picture. So Amber, I'm sorry. I would delete this and very quickly if I were you. Just a thought. Let's go on, right? So now we're going to talk about Mr. John Welsh. So John doesn't like Democrats. I'm going to assume he's a Republican, which is absolutely fine. But he'd rather be an American than a Democrat. So on its face, let me know in the comments what you think of this picture and what it says to you. Like, take the politics out of it. What does it tell you about John? Well, John also, I give him credit because he's like, look, if you don't want to do business with me, then so be it. Okay. John, you are right. You are prophetic in your assessment that I don't want to do business with you. That is absolutely right, even though you're open to work. So maybe John, you know, here's the thing. I've now have a mental image of John that is super negative. I don't know anything else about John is that he's focused on creating extreme value through something. But it could be through divisiveness. I know he's a PhD, but I have no other reason to want to click on his profile. Unless I just, you know, I'm doing it for sport. But at this point, I know he's going to be extremely negative. Do I want somebody on my team like this? I'm going to go with no, right? He could be very divisive, those types of things. He could be just a pain in the ass to manage, right? These are the types of things that are occurring to me in my mind as I see this, right? To take the politics aside, it's the negativity about it. So sorry, John, I don't want to do business with you. You were absolutely right. So lastly, let's just recap, right? We talked about the profile picture. Smile, smile, smile. Put some thought into it. It doesn't have to be a professional photo shoot. Use Canva. Same goes for your banner. Use Canva. It makes it almost idiot proof. Sometimes the only problem with Canva I've found is there's too many suggestions and selections, right? And options. So that's sometimes where I get into, oh, what about this? What about that? And 2 hours have gone by, right? but that's not a bad problem to have. At least you have a resource that's free. So right now you've spent no money on your pictures because you've taken it with your phone and you've thrown it into Canva, which is all free, and bam, your profile looks different. Pay attention to that headline. What is the headline you want? It doesn't have to be your current title. It could be the title you want. It could be just a quick snapshot about you. Put some thought into it. And again, the same goes for your About Me section and your experience section. So I'm going to show you mine. Now, you're going to look at this and say, hey, Rob, wait, your face isn't that clear. You've got a hat on and I'm confused. What's happening here? Yeah, I've changed, right? I've kind of gotten out of HR from a corporate perspective. This is kind of scratching that itch for me, is to be on camera and talking to people about it, because I'm good at it. I've done it for a while and I like doing it. I like helping others. But I've also opened a studio, which I'm sitting in and I'm super proud of, right? And I want to get some clients. P.S. If you want to know more about my studio, visit justtalkstudios.com. The link is in the description. Couldn't resist. But, I love helping people create content and do all that type of stuff. So I'm really leaning into, here's a picture of my studio. Here's my logo. Oh, what does that mean? Am I looking for somebody to call me about an HR job? Probably not, right? I'm leaning into my studio, my podcast, those types of things. So that's kind of where I've repointed my LinkedIn profile, right? I rewrote the headline, but I still put in there that I'm a senior level HR professional on the off chance somebody sees it. Also, for you to know that, hey, I may know what I'm talking about. Again, these are my opinions after 30 years in corporate America. So again, you do you, take it or leave it. But I put some thought into all of this, and that's what my wish is for you. Go spend some time on it. Make sure you look good. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward, and that's going to lead to good things down the line. If you're just pencil whipping it, so to speak, and just like, oh, here's a picture of me from 1982, and these are the jobs I've held, and that's it. Nobody's going to call you. I'm already bored, right? So put some thought into it. If you want people calling, you've got to do that stuff. And again, lastly, those recommendations, go give them. They will come back to you, and be thoughtful and authentic about them, right? So I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to run now and I don't know what I'm going to do. Have some more coffee. If you've liked this content, please give me a like. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see, and also subscribe to this channel, because it's something I am trying to build, and I'd be honored to see you on here every day. So until next time, again, this is Well That Happened, and take care. This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.